I'm telling you right now, you're not going to believe this harvest.
Well, in my opinion, this in and of itself would be a pretty good harvest, but we're not even close.
Guten yardening, everybody. Well, we are coming to the end of the growing season for a lot of our summer vegetables. Actually, take a look behind me here.
We actually still have some tomatoes out here that are ready to be harvested. Some of them are actually already ripe,
but a lot of them are also still green and not quite ready. But we have a 30-degree frost coming in the next couple of days, and there's no way we can cover and protect all of these plants. So today, I'm gonna get out here not just for the tomatoes. I've got peppers out here that need to be harvested, and I just wanna see what kind of harvest we can still get here at the beginning of October in Zone 5, Wisconsin.
Now, before I get into this harvest, I have to tell you, see all these sweet potatoes here? This is not a harvest of these sweet potatoes. That harvest is coming very, very soon.
You know, one of the things I love about this time of year is seeing the plants that are still holding on.
And still producing for us. I mean, here in Zone 5, Wisconsin, the weather has been pretty cool.
You know, for a lot of these vegetables like our peppers here, once the temperatures drop to around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, we're typically not going to get a lot more production.
But these peppers, which we have now harvested quite a few of,
have really kept going for us up to this point. They're even starting to ripen off out here on the vine. Now again, with temperatures of 29 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit coming, I want to get all of these off. I don't want to risk any damage to these. These are really nice shape right now.
With all this green color, they're kind of camouflaged on here. So even though I've been watching and seeing a whole bunch more come in, I don't really know the extent of what this harvest is going to look like in terms of the amount of peppers. So I'm excited to see, once I get all these over into my wagon here in just a little bit, just how many peppers we just got from this little bed. This bed has been super productive for us this season.
Look at the size of these I just pulled off of there. All right, take a look at all the peppers I just harvested.
I'll tell you what this harvest is. This is the payoff for harvesting all of our other ripe peppers and then feeding these plants a 10-10-10 liquid fertilizer mix. I mean, that's a lot of peppers for a nice October fall pepper harvest. And in our other bed here, we had some of those seedlings that we had never planted, those pepper seedlings. And we've already harvested several peppers off here, but you see there are even more to add to that pepper harvest. In addition to getting some more of these golden bush beans. I cannot believe this one plant just keeps on producing. You see the leaves are finally dying back, but come on, look at this. These are beauties. I'm gonna add this to our harvest. All right, these fall cabbage and kohlrabi aren't ready yet, but you know what is? This beautiful cauliflower. Take a look at that. That is majestic.
Now this head of cauliflower was actually struggling quite a bit when the other ones were already forming heads, but we left it in the ground.
And that right there is the result. What a beautiful head of cauliflower to harvest in October. Now at first glance, it may seem that this is gonna be a pretty green harvest because a lot of what we're pulling off here is going to be green, but there also is still a good bit of color to be brought in from out here. So it's not just going to be green tomatoes. Hey, here we go. Take a look. We're going to have some color in here. These are partially ripe, and they'll ripen the rest of the way indoors.
All right, where are my fried green tomato fans at in the comments? Let me know. I haven't had fried green tomatoes in years, but I know when I was younger, I loved them.
Take a look at this harvest so far, and I am just getting started. I almost missed the bush beans that are growing at the top of the green stalk where we have so many of our sweet potatoes to harvest here shortly. What's really cool about this is this was another fall planting. These were a late planting, and we're getting production again in a tiny space. The green stalk doesn't take up much space, and we're just using a part of one tier to get these beans.
Hey, when you're out picking beans like this, what do you call it? When I was growing up, we always called it picking a mess of beans. Is it the same for you?
You know, I miss having a lot more of the garden snacks, the cherry tomatoes, because we didn't grow as many this year, and we had plenty volunteer. But one thing I don't miss as much is the amount of time it takes to get the harvest in. Because with those bigger tomatoes, it's definitely a faster harvest than, say, with this super sweet 100. All right, see our columnar apple trees right here? Well, I happen to know that we've got 2 apples Oh, oops, there we go. 2 apples here. They're basically attached to each other somehow. Look at that. We'll add those apples to our October harvest. All right, I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna get the rest of the tomatoes off of here. You know I have to harvest the sweet potatoes off from underneath here. And these have to come off anyway. These are huge, really late, but look at the size of these. These are only a couple days, if we had some warmer weather, only a couple of days from ripening. There's a whole bunch in here. That is going to really help us out. That's going to add to that tomato harvest. Hey, and they did a pretty nice job with the simple wire trellising that we had down here, strung between these T-posts. Now, out of curiosity, where do you like to ripen up your last green tomatoes? What do you like to do for that? I know there's lots of different ways to do it. We typically just set ours out on the counter, but I know there are other suggestions. So what do you like to do to ripen up those last few greens? In our case, those last whole bunch of green tomatoes. That's a lot of tomatoes left on one plant. Now I have a whole bunch more tomatoes to pick out of here as well. I mean, you can see them. They are all over here. Some more ripe ones, but that's not it. We grew some peppers along the side. Look at this. Right underneath all those sweet potato vines, and there's more. Look at this right here. 3. It's number 3. We got our 4th one right here. And here's the next plant over. We had a whole bunch of pepper plants growing as well, and they were big enough before these sweet potatoes really took off to start producing as well. So I've got even more peppers to bring inside. I love this harvest. All right, here's the deal. With the weight of all these tomatoes and the weight of the harvest just that we've done so far, I need to get this wagon emptied out so that I don't squish the other things that we're harvesting. And in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, here's my hand. Here's what we've harvested so far. There's so many. Well, in my opinion, this in and of itself would be a pretty good harvest, but we're not even close. Hey, check this out. Our fire pit. See that stem? See what's at the end of that stem? Somehow a seed got in here and we're growing tomatoes out of our fire pit. Hey, what's the weirdest place you've ever seen a vegetable grow? And this is just incredible. I'm not really providing any context for this, so I'll do that right now. I'm in our backyard and space right now. I've already harvested some more tomatoes and peppers from our side garden, but there's still a large number of ripe tomatoes back here as well. Unbelievable. I know tomatoes were late this year here in Zone 5. They definitely were, but I'm gonna still say this was a bumper crop year for us. I mean, it's definitely the only time that we've grown so many of the larger ones, but we've got such good production, or at least that's my perception of how well these grew for us. Get some of our black cherry tomatoes out of here. A little bit of splitting going on, but this is a volunteer. You know what? I am never gonna come out here where we're growing garden candy, especially these black cherry tomatoes, and not enjoy a little snack. October dessert right there. There's a pepper plant back here I didn't even see growing. Is it possible that this is gonna be the biggest harvest of our season? I'll be honest with you. I think it could be. I mean, we harvested 200 plus pounds of winter squash from our community garden plot, but as far as our home garden, we've been having some nice harvests. But this one, I mean, there's just so much food still out here. Hey, when you've spent all this time and effort putting these plants in the ground, growing many of them like these tomatoes from seed, you don't mind spending a large amount of time out here getting them off the vine. And when they volunteer themselves, and I've been picking so many green beans off of this pole bean that volunteered itself. When they volunteer by themselves, it's pretty cool too. You know, you make a mistake, if you want to call it that, and accidentally let some seed pods fall to the ground and you end up with all this. It's a pretty good mistake to make, don't you think? Listen, I thanked them once before at almost exactly this spot, but I want to say thank you again to you Japanese beetles, because we had the least damage I have ever seen from Japanese beetles. I appreciate that. I gotta tell you something. if I wasn't the one out here harvesting all of this food right now, I'm not even sure I would believe it was possible on such a small piece of land to have so much still out here all the way in October in Zone 5, Wisconsin. Look at these lima beans. There's just so much in here left to pick. I love how when these lima beans are held up to the light, you can see how well they've developed inside. Like this one right here, kind of thin. You can see it didn't really give us big lima beans yet.
This video was truly all about the joy of the harvest.
I mean, I am having a great day out here. This is the second wagon full. This is a crazy amount of food.
And we're not done yet.
You know, it's really nice to see these summer squash still producing. And even though they're called summer squash, we've actually done pretty well getting these to grow for us. And we planted these a little bit late just from seed, but you can see we're getting some nice production. There's a few more green grillers. Boy, I wish we had a couple more weeks without frost. Look at them in there. There's more trying to grow at the top. And if I thought these were gonna get much bigger, I'd leave this variety out here. But even this size, they're super, super tasty. What's that? More tomatoes? I just absolutely love this. I have an obsession with gardening, and I hope, you know, seeing something like this, seeing all this deliciousness out here that we've been growing for months, I hope that this is inspiration for you if you're considering gardening.
Remember, we have 0.13 acres of land, and that includes our house. And this is what we're growing. You can do this. I'm going to tell you something. I'm over here by compost row. Without a doubt, this is going to be our biggest October harvest ever. I guarantee it. This is massive.
There's just so many tomatoes still out here. Take a look over here. See if I can get in close. And you can see the one I'm about to pull, this pink ox heart. These are so good. Fantastic for canning. I love the fact that you can harvest these and they still ripen up. To me, that's such an important part of being able to grow these tomatoes, is knowing that I can pick them now and still enjoy them even though they're green. And you know what? Sometimes when you're out harvesting, you leave a few things for later, like these beets. I didn't harvest all of them last time I was harvesting beets. So now I've got some more fresh beets, these multi-sown beets to bring in. Those look delicious. And we actually have 3 different varieties that I'm harvesting. There's the golden beet right there. We have some Detroit red, and we also have some Chioggia beets. Those Chioggia beets are awesome. They're like a white and red striped beet. They look so cool.
All right, you know what time it is? It's time for a little bit of fall-bearing heritage red raspberry break. That's perfect. All right, let's see what's growing in our compost row that we can harvest.
Not much, just some of the biggest eggplant. Look at this. Look at the size of these eggplant. This plant is all bent over. There are 4 really nice eggplant on here. I'm gonna get these cut off.
Now let us know in the comments if you also garden in your compost. We've been doing this for years now, and we love the results.
Here are the eggplant from just this one bed. The big ones are from one plant, and then these smaller ones are from the plant right next to it. And there are also some peppers growing in here as well. There's some more peppers in here.
All right, now I'm down alongside all of our long raised beds where we harvested a lot of tomatoes earlier. I got some tomatoes to get out of here, and then I have a whole bunch of habaneros and other peppers as well.
We've just got more and more and more of these. This Sheboygan put on a masterclass in productivity. I don't think I've ever seen a tomato plant quite like this one. Well, at this point, I'm just trying to determine if I'm gonna need to empty the wagon again before I get to the last of the harvest. These are those great white tomatoes. It's a really pretty light yellow color. And again, they're just so many out here. There's a cucumber I didn't know was back here. Okay.
You know, once all this is said and done, I'm going to get a weight on this entire harvest. It's going to take me a while. I'm going to have to do this bag by bag, basically, but I'll make sure I put a total weight at the end of this.
Well, I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. I'm harvesting my jalapenos, and I'm going to harvest my habaneros without wearing gloves. That might end up being a big mistake, but I'm gonna keep my hands away from my face. I promise. You know, I love asking my students at school what color a ripe jalapeno is, because a lot of them think it's just green. But nope, it's a nice red jalapeno. And these habaneros look so pretty, but man, do they hold some heat. These were definitely, our first year growing them, definitely some real heat inside these habaneros. Look at all that color. Look at all that heat. Hey, when we do our seed share this year, should we include a couple of seeds from these habaneros? What do you think? Well, here is the very rare giant crimson tomato. We're definitely going to be saving some seeds from that this year. A couple of nice ripe ones right here. I'm going to keep these separate. I got to know which ones are which for these, because these seeds really truly are very rare.
Now, technically, I have some more tomatoes that I could harvest, but this video's got to end at some point, and I'm not going to be able to get all this stuff inside. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our final harvest tally looks like.
Well, I've never had this happen before, but you see all this food? It's still in the wagon because I can't fit it on the table. This is a truly crazy amount of food. Look at this. This table is, it's going to buckle under the weight is what it's going to do. This is packed, loaded down with an October harvest. Our beets, our beans, we got pole beans, we got bush beans, we have our lima beans, different peppers, we have summer squash, eggplant. Look at all of these tomatoes, our beautiful cauliflower, and even a cucumber, our hot peppers. This is an absolutely packed harvest. I mean, doesn't that look like a mountain of food?
All right, listen to me. Grow your own food. There is nothing in the world like this. There really isn't. This, and I 100% mean this, this could be your harvest. I am just completely satisfied right now. I'm very happy to be able to share this with you. I really want to encourage you. If you didn't grow anything this year, if you only grew a few things and you have more space and you can expand, give it a try. This result, this makes it all worth the effort. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's harvest video and found it useful, found it inspirational. And if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.